historic name through legislation. This amendment advances that objective by making the statutory changes necessary to formally redesignate the Department of Defense as the Department of War throughout Titles 10, 32, and 37 of U.S. Code, along with numerous conforming amendments. It also redesignates the Secretary of Defense as the Secretary of War and updates references to departmental offices and activities to reflect the new title. You know, the best defense is a good offense, and names communicate priorities. For decades, America's military has remained the most lethal and capable fighting force in the world, but our principal national security institution bore a title that emphasizes only one aspect of its mission. The historic title, Department of War, more directly reflects the warrior ethos and the department's responsibility to prepare for, deter, and when required, successfully wage war in the defense of the United States and its interests. I urge my colleagues to support this en bloc, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman for his remark. Gentleman from California, Mr. Levin, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to expand for just a minute on the history that my colleague mentioned. I don't think the gentleman got anything wrong necessarily, but I want to add some important context. It's completely correct that for a century and a half, this nation had a Department of War. That is true. George Washington did, in fact, create it in 1789, and it ran the Army through the Civil War and into the 20th century along a separate Department of the Navy. Then came World War II. My grandfather served in World War II, so I think that's great. I think my grandpa's looking over my shoulder now, and I think he wants me to express this to you because I know how he felt. He's passed away, but I know how he felt. We fought that war with the services divided. He was in the Army Air Corps. We paid for it in confusion and duplication and at Pearl Harbor in blood. So the generation that won that war came home and fixed it. And then in 1947, we unified the Army and the Navy and the new Air Force. Then in 1949, we settled on the name that captured what we'd built, the Department of Defense. Not a retreat from strength, the consolidation of strength. Now, a few more things worth mentioning. The men who chose defense and the women who chose defense at that time, they were not soft. This was the Cold War. They were staring straight at Stalin. They were staring straight at the Soviet bomb. They had just defeated Germany and Japan. They picked the name on purpose because it described the whole force, land and sea and air under one roof, not just one branch fighting